This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Welcome to Check Bags and Big Tags, the no-filter, no-holds-barred podcast where we spill the truth about globetrotting in style. Buckle up, it's time to see the world differently. Welcome to Check Bags and Big Tags. I'm Elisa Oman of One World Family Travel with Sean Moutet of Gallivant Luxury Travel. So it is, we're almost here at August.
Yeah, I
We're
know,
more than
right?
half done. We've got 5 months to the holidays. Schools are almost like, for those that have kids in schools are going to be
It's
going back to work.
tax-free now here for your shopping, back to school shopping. It's
Is
a
it?
tax-free time of year.
It's tax-free for us in a couple weeks when I'm going to be away. So
Yeah, I think it's tax-free here now in Florida. So yeah,
So
now is the time to buy whatever you need to buy.
we're still in the middle of summer and we've had some crazy weather. What's the weather like by you?
Hot.
Yeah.
I went to get the car detailed today and they don't have like an air-conditioned waiting area. It's like under like an awning and you sit kind of outside and see the car getting washed. It was hot, really hot.
Like today and yesterday, it's been really nice. It's been really pleasant. But last week was like in 110 degrees.
Yeah.
This week's pleasant. My car actually, the air conditioner's broken it. But my
No.
car is 16 years old. I'm not putting money
Okay.
into it, so I'm just suffering. But
Yeah.
it's really nice right now by us, like very pleasant, low 80s. It'll go back up. But weather, it's affecting not just us, but Europe.
Very badly in Europe right now. They are in middle of a heat wave and in some areas unprecedented drought. So
So
how does that affect travel?
Yeah, so it's always, Europe has always been a funny place. Like we always hear about, oh, they don't have air conditioning in Europe.
Mhm.
And that's because traditionally it's never been like historically over the years, the summers have been mild enough that it's not been necessary. But
Yeah.
over the past few years, we're seeing more and more heat waves. We're seeing longer heat waves. We're seeing clusters of heat waves, like several in a summer, which is very
Yeah.
unusual for Europe. Very.
And that's causing extreme dryness and drought.
And
So
so every year, we hear about the river cruise lines, the rivers throughout Europe, they're low, the water levels are low. I feel like it's getting worse,
yeah. I
so
almost don't want to sell my clients river cruises during certain months.
right.
And I honestly do steer them away from certain months. I say, you know what? Late May, early June, good time. September, usually the drought is over. So I kind of steer them away, especially now with the heat waves. July, August are a big no-no. I will not sell it.
Because what we're talking about is because if people want a river cruise in the summer, again, try and steer them away. But if they really want it, I'm very upfront with them that the rivers, it's not like an ocean cruise where, the water level isn't affected, because we've been having the Rhine, for example, normally runs 10 to 20 feet. It has been down to like 5 feet.
Yeah, 3 feet in some places.
The Danube was down to 3 feet. Now, river cruise lines, the ships, the draft of the ships, the part of the hull below the water, they're designed for shallow rivers.
Yeah,
But there's only
because technically they're really not a ship. They call them ships, but it's really a glorified barge.
Right.
So they have a very low draft, so they can get through very shallow water.
But there's
sometimes
to a point. They're not like they can't go through, below 3 feet, then you're having a problem.
A lot of times they've done this if they don't want to switch the ship, and they can do it depending on how shallow the water gets. They will like offload all the pool water on the ship. They'll make sure all the guests are off the ship, and they will use that because it raises the buoyancy to get through shallow patches.
I picture them throwing luggage and stuff
Yeah,
overboard.
no, they're not throwing luggage overboard, but they do some things that can mitigate if they can pass a certain area or not. And then in lieu of that, as we know, and you have some clients experiencing right now, a lot of them will do a ship swap.
Right.
So certain cruise lines do have ships that match up identically.
Yeah.
Viking, Ama, a lot of them have ships that are identical. But if you start going with some of the more boutique cruise lines, they may not quite match up as accurately. But in general, I think, and I hate to say this, Viking handles the ship swaps better than everybody else because their ships are identical.
Right.
They are, so they could even put the passenger in the same number cabin when they switch you
Exactly.
over,
So,
which
like,
is what they do.
my clients right now are on Uniworld, and I knew ahead of time something probably would probably do need to make a ship swap. But they did. They had booked on one ship, and due to the low water levels, they were put on at the beginning of their cruise a different ship, and then they were going to switch back to their original ship around like day 5. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, they were sister ships, but not identical, you know, and
Yeah.
it worked out well for them because my clients were in suites and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it worked out for them. But I happen to know the cruise before them, where they were actually on their original ship. They sailed it for like a few days and then switched ships to one
Yeah.
of my clients. They were asking for people to actually reschedule.
Yeah.
They needed like 15 people to reschedule. So it worked out fine for my clients, but for people who maybe were not in suites, it was not working, you know, for people in the lower categories.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they found those people or what happened with that, but that is a possibility. So if you're sailing in the summer and there are low water levels, you need to understand that things will be might very well be adjusted. You may switch out ships. The ports. Now, we got a letter from my client stating that they were still working on the ports, and they were hoping to keep the itinerary as close to the original as possible, but they would be spending a little more time in the Netherlands because they were starting in Amsterdam. I have yet to hear exactly from my clients what happened there, but so your ports may be switched. An extreme solution, but one river cruise lines are known to do, is if they really can't get into ports, they will offload everyone and bus them between destinations. You
Yeah.
need to be prepared
So
for that.
the other thing, like as you said with the busing, I
Yeah.
would much rather a I have such a hard time saying ship swap for some reason.
Switch
I
ship.
would much, yeah, I would much rather a ship swap
Yeah.
than to end up on a bus tour.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Now,
Because if I wanted a
yeah.
bus tour, I would have booked a bus tour.
Bus tour, exactly. So what I got an interesting email like yesterday from Happy Tours. And because of all the drama going on with the rivers right now and the river cruises, if people have been allowed to cancel, they're kind of like saying, well, don't let your clients not come to Europe. This is where we could step in, and these are the kind of itineraries we can do for your clients. So all is not lost. The problem I have with the river cruise lines, and it's ongoing because I've been selling them for many years. They wait so long to decide if they're going to do something about the water level. And I think it's very unfair to the clients. I understand, yes, you're running a business and you're trying to mitigate losses and stuff. But even if it's in your cruise contract, if I paid for a river cruise, I do not want to go on a bus tour.
Right. I'm
So
fine.
give me the option to reschedule,
Right.
change, that's something I'd be happy with.
I'm fine if you're switching ships. I'm fine if you're adjusting ports. I'm still on a river cruise.
Yeah.
But again, there's a reason my clients or me or whomever picked a river cruise,
Yeah.
you know, and it's because we don't want to be on a land tour and we want to be
Yeah.
sailing through Europe. So I get what you're saying there because
Yeah.
I think don't some like Avalon offers guests the option to ship to an actual like Globus or Cosmos
Yeah.
art because they're
Land
partners.
tour. Yeah.
Land tours. And so, because the one thing people need to understand is when they start, it's in their cruise contracts, when they start making these adjustments, which is the cruise line's right, they're not giving you refunds. They-
No.
No, you're not getting compensation for this. It's very clear upfront.
Yeah. So that's why it's also important to have travel insurance.
Mhm.
Again, it's another time where we'll talk about that. Having some type of travel protection could help in these situations also.
You know, and it's
Um,
also why you should be working with a travel advisor who could keep you apprised. For example,
yeah.
I had heard from a travel agent that the cruise before my client, the exact one, they were going the cruise that was sailing from Basel to Amsterdam, where my clients were going to pick up the cruise. I knew there was
ship swap. You know, I like
You
on the
said you're having a problem with it now too.
the cruise ahead of my clients. So what I did was I just proactively I sent them an email saying, I'm just giving you a heads up that the cruise before yours, they're experiencing low water levels. They're switching ships midship.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, no, nothing has been said about your cruise yet, but I want to give you a heads up what could possibly happen, what they are doing. And I reminded my client also that we spoke about this when we first scheduled the cruise.
Hmm.
It's in the cruise contract. It's in their cruise lines and Uniworld's terms and conditions. It's in the cruise companion
Yep.
that I sent them. I let them know that this had been available to him, this information in several different places along the
So
way.
I have like 6 different couples going on river
Yeah.
cruises again for the
Yeah.
year. Luckily, they're all in September, so I'm hoping this drought and weather
Yeah.
situation has pretty much abated by then. One of them is on the Danube,
Uh-huh.
and the other one's gonna be on the Rhone in France.
Okay.
So you usually don't hear much about France
Don't hear
having
much about the Rhone at all.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
Danube
you
and
don't
Rhine.
usually hear that when it comes to the low water.
Yeah.
So hopefully those will go up,
But
you
but
know?
working with a travel advisor, so I was proactive and gave them a heads up then. So then when we got the information about their ship swap, I sent them another email. It was not a surprise to them.
Yeah,
And they had no problems. Again, they were also in suites. My client was in the top level, the uppermost suite, and so they maintained that that was not a problem, but they knew it was happening, and they could
yeah,
never deny that they never heard about it or knew about it or anything like that. So that's why it's good to work with a travel advisor because 'cause we're always monitoring these situations because we
yeah.
know every year the river cruise lines have these issues. So we're monitoring, we're on top of them. We've got the
The
contact.
thing is, every year we seem to be having this unprecedented weather. It seems like the last 4 years, it's unprecedented. At this point, it does
Well,
have
it's to be
precedence.
expected. I think at
Yeah,
this
because
point
it's happening quite
yeah,
regularly.
I mean, at this point, it's expected you're going on a river cruise, there will be water issues. You're
But I
going
will tell you, yeah,
Uh-huh.
what the river cruise lines do to kind of encourage the summertime sailing, they really price it well compared to the months they know they don't have
Yeah.
the issues.
But
So,
if you're flexible and you're willing to go with the flow, it's not a bad option. It's fine, but
yeah,
it takes a special type of person. If you're someone who will be devastated by these minor, like a ship swap or a change in your itinerary, or wherever, you got to balance it out. So, but we're not just dealing now. We've got the water levels, but the heat
yeah.
waves. I mean, heat
And
waves are
now
one thing.
fires, they're having fires in Spain.
Mhm.
I saw that today and I'm like, wow, they're having brush fires also.
I
I
mean,
guess they don't sweep their brush enough, to make
they
sure the
don't sweep
fires
the
don't
floors,
start.
floors, But there has definitely been a clear pattern of intensifying heat waves over the past several years where they were a little shorter. They'd have them there. They'd come, they go. They were shorter, not as frequent. We are definitely seeing an increase in them. And
Yeah.
so that's impacting travel. It affects flights. I'm not sure exactly
Some
how.
of the tarmacs literally start to
Oh, no.
melt, and the weight of the plane becomes a problem on the tarmac that they
Mhm.
take off and land from. So this intense heat can cause a plethora of problems,
I mean,
in your travel day.
and then, often what's followed by the heat wave, what follows it are the thunderstorms. So those
Yeah,
storms are also affecting your flights. Those are all of that.
yeah,
But, so affecting the touring, how people are
yeah,
touring. I always just tell people it's the summer, it's gonna be hot. I don't anticipate the
yeah.
heat wave. I don't say there might be heat wave. I just tell people it's going to be hot
It's
and you're
gonna be hot. Exactly. Like the first time I went to Croatia was in the middle of a heat wave.
uh,
Luckily for us, it was like the cruise. So every day we had these fantastic swim stops and stuff.
nice.
But let me tell you, every afternoon we reached to where we were going to do our little walking tour. Whatever you put on, prepare for it to have been soaked in sweat within like
Yeah.
5 minutes of getting off the ship. And
So
luckily everybody was gung ho. It was a bunch of travel advisors all traveling together.
Yep.
And we're like, whatever, we're going to have a good time no matter what. But you would be like raggedy
Yeah.
sweaty like 5 minutes after you got off the ship. But then it would cool down and you would cool off. But it was at some
But
points like very, like unbearably hot.
For
So
those that don't have the benefit of a trip with a now I can't say swim
stop.
stop. Whoa, okay. For those, people that
Ship
work
swaps and
in
swim
swim
stops.
stops. Okay. So what do you do for that? One, when you're booking, in the summer to Europe, always ask your hotel if there's AC, and you have to
Yeah,
ask. You can never
yeah,
assume there's no. Now, why isn't AC so prevalent over there? One, because it's never been needed in the summers. Two, the architectural design of many of the buildings in the cities, just couldn't sustain the air conditioner.
yeah,
Plus the environmental impact. They're very conscious of the environmental impact of the air conditioning. So that's why a lot of buildings, especially the homes, they don't have air conditioning. So you can never assume that your hotel has air conditioning. You need to find out from them if there is air conditioning. Is it in all the rooms and not just the public spaces or vice versa? And also, when is it switched on and off for the
yeah.
season? You need to know that,
You
So
remember
never.
I encountered that last year with some of my hotels because of the time they were traveling, and they had
Mhm.
already decided it was time to turn the air off. So luckily, luckily, in the hotter places, the AC was still turned on in Italy, but
Mhm,
further north and stuff, it was not. They actually are mandated by the EU and the government
mhm.
for that switching on and off of heat to cold and all this. And then a lot of them, the HVAC systems operate a lot differently to here. They can't just be switching back and forth between heat and cold at a whim. It's either the heat is on for the whole building or the cooling is on. It's not like zoned like the US or
Yeah,
like we could even go into our own hotel room and decide I want heat even though it's 100 degrees outside. You
right.
know, like they
You
don't
can't.
have that level of granular control over the HVAC. So this is things that people have to realize. People have traveled to Europe a lot. They know, but it's definitely if you've never been, um, it's
Don't
some things that you can encounter.
don't assume that your hotel don't just assume that your hotel has the air conditioning. It's something to verify before booking, not after you arrive. And that's
Yeah.
where we come in. We could help you with that as well, but, never assume. Um,
But some of the hotels don't tell the truth when you ask them if they have air conditioning. That's my
mhm,
caveat. Is your air conditioning on? Yes, it is, sir. And then my clients got there and knew it was not on.
mhm.
Right. So after several phone calls, so could be a little frustrating. So again, I try to figure out the best time of year for them to travel. If they're people who must have this pump in AC, then okay, I'm going to send you in June because
Yeah.
by then the AC is on in all these places, but it's still not hot outside where that they won't feel this American level of coolness.
So,
So
when you're touring, so what do it's common sense, but when you're touring, in the middle of the summer and it's hot, don't treat your trip as a death march. All right. Understand that yes, you want to see everything, but you're going to have to make some adjustments here. Do your touring
yeah.
early in the morning, later in the afternoon or the evening, and build in that
Take
buffer.
a siesta. There's nothing better than a siesta. But once the hotel has air conditioning.
Right, it is like your hotel has air conditioning. I'm going to Europe in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, I'll
Yeah.
be in Venice, and it's been, hot there. It's been, like, kinda like here, but
Yeah.
I've got a fan. We have air conditioning in the hotel, but I run hot, so I'm bringing a fan with me that I have a little portable fan that I always keep on my nightstand. I also have one for my purse. I'm sorry, I'll be that person walking with my fan. Sorry,
You're like that lady on all the signs in Florida here. Is your wife running hot? You
uh
need to get AC from whoever.
Yeah.
He's actually a client of one of my friends.
Really? Yep, I'm like,
Yeah.
I need that. So, but, so adjust your touring, build in time for your pool, if you have a pool, access to that, your pool water breaks, your siesta, or if you can't do that, build in time in the afternoon to duck into a nice cafe, a restaurant, something like that, to have some downtime.
If the hotel has a pool, swim
Mm.
in it.
Yeah.
Chill out in the afternoon and go in the pool.
Mhm.
Take a little siesta, like we said. Like just
I'm all for that,
yeah, just decrease the pace of what you're doing
Yeah,
to
again,
make it comfortable
it's
for
not a
yourself.
death march, you wanna enjoy your vacation. If you can travel in the off season, not everyone can do that, there are reasons we picked this in August.
Yeah,
People that have kids, they're working around the school schedules, we get that, so you can't always, but if you can, consider the off season to avoid this. Doesn't mean it's gonna
yeah.
be perfect, but, you can You can avoid it. I have a refillable water bottle I'm bringing with me. Now, all around Europe, like especially in Italy, they have these public water fountains with beautiful, clear, crisp,
Rome has great
cold
water all around the
water
city.
available. And it's
Yeah.
not the water fountains like we're accustomed. There, you fill up your water bottles, and it's safe, clean, cold water. That's how to handle the heat in Europe. There's not much more to say about that, but it's just be aware that the unprecedented times are now precedented. You
And then we can talk about the government manufactured heat wave that is causing all this heat to worldwide travel by announcing that there's a red warning for every single part of the world by the State Department.
Okay, now we need
So,
to explain this. So, because we don't want people to get the wrong idea or start
yeah.
panicking here. So the State Department issued a worldwide caution due to the tensions, the conflicts in the Middle East. So that what it says is Americans currently in the Middle East should exercise caution and heightened vigilance, be prepared for flight cancellations, delays, rerouting. It says Americans that are not currently in the Middle East, they're advised to reconsider travel to the Middle East to and through it. You know, if you're flying somewhere in your plane,
Yeah.
there's a connection in the Middle East, reconsider those.
No Dubai, no Qatar.
Right. This is not a don't travel internationally
Yeah.
advisory. The government sometimes likes to scare people like this. It is not. We're just saying they're telling people if you're going to be in or around the Middle East, be careful.
The
Be
biggest problem is those
cautious.
Middle East airports and airlines have become such huge, massive hubs for getting to the Far East that,
That
yes,
is
you
true.
can
Yeah.
get to the Far East going in the other
That's
direction,
the
but
problem.
it's
Yeah.
just so much more of a journey. So it's really causing a lot of problems for travel to certain parts of
Well,
the world
it
right
is.
now.
So I think what people are mostly affected by are the people that are not traveling to the Middle East that are traveling through it, the connections.
Yeah.
I think where that's gonna cause the bigger problems.
Cambodia, Vietnam, Bali, Singapore, all these places. Some people go to Australia that way. They do
Mm,
Miami, Dubai, Dubai,
yeah,
Australia, so it's become such a big part of the airline hub system that it's kind of hard to avoid that it may even impact you traveling to somewhere that's not in the Middle East
exactly.
specifically. Yeah.
So, this is we wanna remind people that these advisories like this are very specific and tiered, and a worldwide caution is not the same as everywhere is dangerous. It's just and it's up to us as advisors to help interpret that and advise you correctly on it. We don't want people to panic, but we want you to know that depending on how you're being routed and where you're going, this advisory could affect your plans in some
Yeah.
way.
I'm
Um,
not taking on the liability for them. If they come to me and they're like, I'm not comfortable traveling, I'm like, these are your options to cancel. This is
yeah.
what's gonna happen. I've had situations already this year with a client that was gonna go to Turkey. Unfortunately, he was in full cancellation. That's when the war first started. He was in a little bit of a panic, and I don't blame him. Turkey is very close to Iran. They border with it at some points, and he was nervous about going to Turkey. We spoke to the tour operator. They told us, look, if he cancels now, it's full
Yes.
penalty. But know that we're not going to put them in a dangerous
Right.
situation. So you just have to wait it out. He ended up going. I got a message from the airport when he was leaving Turkey. He said, I'm so happy I came. I had the best time ever. So,
I'm not gonna tell
but
anyone.
it's your comfort level. You need
Right.
to be comfortable with what you're
We
doing.
can't tell anyone what they should and should not
Yeah.
do. We can advise you what the policies are. We can
Yeah.
tell you the reality and what we know of the situation, but we can't tell you because the way you travel could be different than the way I travel.
I know. I mean, when he asked me about Turkey, I'd be like, I'm going. And he's like, really? I said, yeah, I'm very different when it comes to that. My whole thing is like, if I'm supposed to die that way, it's already set up that that's what's going to happen to me. So I have no control over it. So I'm going, right? Because I might have a preordained something's going to happen to me, but I'm not going
Yeah.
to live my life in fear of it because I
I
don't know
mean,
when it's going to be.
I guess
So,
the lesson is know your surroundings always, and you should
yeah.
do that anywhere you are in the world, in any city. Always know your surroundings. don't deliberately put yourself in a risky situation. For example, if you are overseas and there's a protest of some sort going on, don't
Avoid it.
right into it, because I know people that will. Don't jump into it for that
Well,
experience.
we did end up in one in France when we did the river cruise with Uniworld back in 2018. And we were in Avignon and we were doing the walking tour with the guide from the boat and everything. And then we're hearing, oh, and they're all screaming in French. There was like the butchers or somebody were protesting. So we ended up in the middle of a agricultural protest and we just kind of walked through and everybody
Yeah.
and got through it, right? Wasn't
Well,
like no crazy stuff where people were
right.
throwing things
So
but
years ago, I mean, this was decades ago. We were going over, first we were going to the Netherlands because my husband was playing in a soccer tournament there, and then we were going to Paris afterwards. And there was terrorist activity. There was a lot going on at the time, and my mother was freaking out, and she wanted us to cancel the trip so badly. And like, no, we're going. And as it happens, the day we were getting up and we were getting ready to take the metro in Paris to go to the Musée d'Orsay, there was a bombing at the metro station there. And she's calling me freaking out. And we're like, all right, well, I guess the metro's out. And well, we walked to the museum that
yeah.
day.
No, I mean
We went to the
you avoid these
we were
things.
like, we went and yes, there was a small bombing there, but
Just a small one.
it was just a small bombing. She was freaking
Yeah.
out, but we were fine. We weren't on the trains. We weren't at the station at the time, but we went. We did not give up our trip. But that
So what are some things that you could do being cautious when you are going to travel now? One of them is you could register with the STEP program if you're a
always
U.S.
do that.
citizen.
It's the Safe
Always
Traveler.
do it any trip you're going to make. You go to the State Department website, you fill out a little form, you put in the phone number and the email, I believe, that you can be contacted at while you're out of the country, and they kind of monitor that, and they will send you updates and stuff
Right, if
if
there's something
anything
going on,
pops up.
yes, it lets the State Department know where you are. Some people don't like that. I always do. When I go overseas, I
In
always
case you
fill it
need
out.
to be evacuated, you never know. Like,
And they're because people complain, "No, I don't want the State Department to know where I am." They've scanned your passport. They
they
know
know
where
where
you
you're
are.
going. Come
Let's
on,
go.
people. With AI now and
They know where you are.
Palantir and flock cameras, they know everything we're doing. So don't fool
Um,
yourself.
it's so funny you mentioned flock cameras because people in our community boards today were freaking out over some flock
They
cameras.
put them at the entrance of our community, and we don't know who authorized it.
Early because
All the entrances now have flock cameras.
there was a big uproar today in our community boards because they're at Lowe's. Lowe's has them in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, register with STEP. Again, know your surroundings all the time. Don't put yourself in unnecessarily risky situations just for the experience or whatever, be aware.
And if you do see a flock camera anywhere, throw them the bird. That's how you deal with the flock. And the crazy part is in some parts of the country, people are ripping down the cameras. They're also telling you like how to take a high powered green laser and screw up the sensors. Like there's a huge pushback on this whole flock thing, right? So you might be traveling and being flocked when you're on your vacation. Just know that if you're in the US or other parts of the world. So
But no, it's your personal when you're traveling, your personal comfort
yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Where and how you travel. Just, don't be stupid. Don't take unnecessary risks. That's all we can tell you. Segueing from there from don't be stupid. Oh
Don't
my
be
God.
stupid
Now we're talking
into
about don't be
maybe your
disgusting.
comfort level is a little too comfortable. That's
Now
where we're
we're
going with
segueing.
this segment.
Don't be stupid while traveling to don't be disgusting because we're starting. Actually, this is our segment of travelers behaving badly. Honestly, I want to throw up every time I think about this. I tried pulling up
So
the
this
video and
first one, when I saw this online, I was like gagged.
I,
A Carnival
I,
passenger was filmed scratching her barefoot at the buffet, then upgraded to using a metal fork mid-meal. So she took that buffet fork and scratched her grungy feet, right? And thought that that was okay thing to do.
and the
Of course, it
video, we're
landed up
not
on the
making this up.
internet.
There is video, and I'd seen it once and thought I was going to die. And then I tried pulling
Yeah.
up show my husband, and as soon as I did that, I wanted to throw up again because it's disgusting, people.
That's gross.
So Carnival actually had to send a letter to the passengers saying the guest was addressed about this and the fork was pulled from service, like
But
some
who
fork.
knows how many other forks she used before she got caught using the one she did get caught using?
I was like,
She
disgusting.
might have had some fungal infection on her foot the whole cruise.
Oh
And
my
then she's like scratching her foot in the buffet and leaving her
God,
scaly fungus on the floor. It's
stop
like,
it.
no, that's gross. Do not use the utensils anywhere on a cruise ship
Buy yourself a
on your
lotion.
body,
Buy yourself a good
right?
foot lotion, put it on in your cabin, wash your hands
Yeah.
afterwards, people,
Yep.
all right? Because remember, forks are for food, not for feet,
I
okay? I'm
know.
getting that
Exactly.
embroidered for my next cruise. I'm putting that on a T-shirt just in case, forks are food for
But there's just a bunch of things that comes to buffet etiquette.
yeah, or
There
just
is a
being, like, etiquette
glass
in
there
being
is
with
a
kids.
glass cover at
Mhm,
a certain height for a certain reason. Do
mhm,
not be sticking your head under the glass and going over the food to serve yourself.
and,
That
you know
defeats the whole purpose of the glass cover,
And then we
right?
hear often, I've heard about people reaching in and grabbing food with their hands. There's a reason there are
Yeah.
serving utensils. What kind of
Yeah.
pigs are out
S-
there, like, scooping food and
Savages. Savages.
so I'm sorry, but we hear about this all the time. People don't stop being disgusting when you travel. If you save it for your own home.
Don't even grab the muffin from the pastry section without using the tongs. You should not be touching any of the food in a shared environment like that with your hands,
Okay.
right? It's like you want to be in your house, which is fine, and you're grabbing your
Yeah.
muffin in the kitchen. That's
See,
not the situation here,
people like this, it's
right?
why you don't wanna eat the food at a potluck, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you don't know what's happening at home. She may have scratched her feet with the fork that she then scrambled the eggs
I
it
know
for
we
the
shouldn't have
potluck.
discussed that.
Like,
I knew we shouldn't have talked about this because honestly, my stomach is churning right now the more you keep
yeah.
going on.
There's a lot of people that won't eat at an office potluck. Like, that's the thing.
No,
Like, they
I
will
was
not touch food
I
that
had a
they don't
boss
see prepared.
she didn't wash her hands after using the bathroom. I knew this because I had been in the bathroom, I saw her come out of a
Yeah,
stall and just walk out of that, and I was just my jaw was on the floor, and she
yeah,
liked to make food and bring it into the office, and so I was
yeah,
always making excuses, cutting down on carbs, "Oh, I just ate," "Oh, and
yeah.
people didn't believe
She was
me.
gonna give you a little cyclospora. Like, you wouldn't even know.
God, so basically, as travelers behaving badly, people, watch what you're doing, mind your manners, okay? Just
Yeah.
again, don't be disgusting, yeah.
Don't be gross, people.
I
Don't
have
be
nothing more to
gross.
say about this. We just
Yeah.
needed to bring it up, so, we blew
It
through
was
this,
quite
so
the story. It went viral. I'm sure if our listeners look, they will find it.
you
If
could
you want
find
to
the
see
video.
how not to behave on a buffet, on a ship, it's a good
Honestly,
video for that.
if I had seen that right there, I would have called her out. I would have started screaming in the middle of the buffet.
Yeah. So, ugh,
So
yuck.
to just kind of then recap, what we've talked about today. Sailing, it's the summer. We've got low water levels in Europe. We've got drought. Adjust your expectations and your travel styles accordingly. And working
We
with a
got a
travel.
heat wave, so when you're in Europe, you got to stay hydrated.
Oh my God. And I'm traveling with my daughter in a few weeks. She's 27, but she's the worst at that. She's the
Yeah.
worst at staying hydrated. So I'm going to have to be like she was a toddler. I'm going to have to be on her ass about that
Yeah.
one because
It's
she's
like, girl, don't be thirsty. You got to drink your water.
so, stay hydrated, adjust your travel styles. It's like we said, it's not a death march. You don't have to see everything as much as you want to. Take it easy, enjoy, and relax.
And with that, we're going to wrap it up.
So until next time, everyone, take care.
Thank you for listening to Check Bags and Big Tags. When you're ready to book your next dream vacation, be sure to contact your local trusted travel advisor. If you liked what you heard today and want to hear more travel tips and tricks, be sure to hit subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Check Bags and Big Tags. And if you have any questions about travel or topics you want to hear, just send us an email at checkbagsandbigtags@gmail.com. Thank you again for tuning in, and until next time, keep dreaming big and chasing those unforgettable adventures.
Live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.